how it works, but I guess probably feels a lot like the wind in your hair, or driving a really fast car, or taking a bite out of your favorite food, or dancing with your friends, or singing your favorite song, or riding a bus, or just looking out of windows. And with that, welcome to Lost Movie Madness with Akeem and friends. People say that I'm crazy, but I'm not that way in fact. I know what I know, and I'll happily show. Movie madness is all in the mind. Movie madness is all in the mind. And with that, welcome to Lost Movie Madness with Akeem and friends. And today I will be discussing a great film, an absolute corker, as my British friends would say, Swiss Army Man, starring Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. Now, it may be Dano, it may be Dino, I'm not sure. Um, but this is a beautiful film. I just to be 100% honest with you, I went into this film thinking I'm not going to like this thing. Uh, it seems like they want to be much cooler than they are, and I was I was expecting honestly a sort of redux of Scott Pilgrim. You know, Scott Pilgrim versus the world or the universe or whatever it is. I absolutely hated that film. I thought it was people saying, listen, this is the sort of music I listen to, and this is what I find cool. And um, if you don't think that this is what, gamer life is like and like how cool this is to be, then you're just not part of that club. And since I obviously, age wise, demographic wise, was never going to be part of that club, I found no interest in that movie. I thought it was awful and it tried too hard. And I thought, ugh. But this movie is about a man, Paul Dano, who is stranded on a desert island. You don't see how he gets stranded. You don't see, an accident or anything like that. And he finds a dead body that washes up. And he meets that dead body, and, he's in the midst of killing himself. And he sees a dead body and it starts to fart. And me, I'm not particularly a big one on fart jokes. So already this movie is starting off bad for me. It just, okay, the body farts. And he gets on top of it for some reason. I can't remember exactly why, but he gets on top of it and he rides it like a jet ski. It farts so much that it powers him through the water like a jet ski on this island, and he skates off, which I think is an amazing thing to do. Plus, having been on a jet ski, I don't know if anybody else has been on a jet ski, but it is an amazing experience. And you see him experience this riding on the back of a corpse, Daniel Radcliffe. Uh, and he rides off and he falls off and he ends up near his house, near where he lives. Now, this is a fable. So there's no actual place that this takes place at, except for it's near the beach. Uh, that's it. Like, it's near the beach. It has rivers, there are woods, and there are also bears. So anyway, they get to this area, and you know the corpse starts to come alive. It's a magical corpse. It vomits up water when he needs water, and and the corpse starts to come alive, and he starts to talk to it. Um, and then I'm sorry, I should have done this before. Um, the corpse comes back alive, and he talks to the corpse, and the corpse tends to be, and the corpse doesn't know anything. It doesn't know its name. It doesn't know where it's from. It doesn't know anything about life. And he starts to teach it about life. And the corpse is confused, like we all are confused, like a small baby. Um, and he teaches about love, and he teaches about this woman that he's in love with. and he teaches it about masturbation, obviously, and farting. And he teaches Paul Dano's character, Manny. No, I'm sorry, Manny is Daniel Radcliffe's character. He teaches it about how to stop being so pent up, so tied up in himself. And Paul Dano spends most of this film tied up in himself and relieving some of that. There's a great quote um, about farting, and Paul Dano has some a lot of issues with being okay with who he is. And his mother died when he was young. He doesn't have a good relationship with his father. He's unable to really live in the life that he wants to live, which is just very, very difficult. He doesn't feel like he's handsome. He doesn't feel like he does well with women. And then through a few misadventures, which I won't go into, he tells them that they try to get back to the world because he starts to see that he really just wants to be back in the world. And it's very, very difficult for him to do that and interact with other people. And Daniel Radcliffe says um, to him that you just don't know how awesome you are. And he's like, I'm not awesome, I'm gross. And the amazing thing is that they really, really do find a connection between each other. And then they get back to the world, and all the world comes back, and he realizes maybe he's gross. But the beauty of his friendship, his relationship with Daniel Radcliffe's character, is that he can be okay. That Hank is okay with whatever anybody else thinks about him. He's okay with who he is as a person. Maybe his unrequited love wasn't particularly healthy for him anyway, especially to be focused on this girl who we meet at the end, has a family, has a child, um, has a life that he has just made her this magic pixie dream girl who isn't really who she is. And also how off putting that is internally, and he knows that. So you get to the end, and Manny sort of jet skis his butt out of there. And Hank is left alone, even though Hank feels better about who he is. Hank at one point says, because I'm just scared, ugly, and useless person. And Manny says, well, maybe everybody's a bit ugly. Maybe we're all just dying sacks of shit. And maybe all it'll take is one person just be okay with that, and the whole world will be dancing and singing and farting, and everyone will feel a little bit less alone. Manny says, you have no idea how nice that sounds. So it's very existential, it's very deep. It takes you on a trip, it takes you on a travel where somebody is really trying to grasp who they are. And it's a very, very beautiful moving picture between the two of them. Ding. Now, what did I like about this film? Well, a couple of things. Well, first off, Daniel Radcliffe. Let's. I'm going to start with Daniel Radcliffe. First off, young Harry Potter, Master Harry. Um, he always surprises me in his roles. Um, he is an interesting guy. He's 34 years old, is born in 1989, which makes him 10 years younger than me. And although he is much more, much more, uh, um, much more accomplished than I am, he lives a sort of life that I would have liked to have lived if I was a film actor. Um, he does what he likes. He made his big money with the Harry Potter films, and God bless him, he did. Mm-hmm. And then he decided, just like all the other three from the Harry Potter films, Hermione and Ron, who I can't remember their names right now. You have to forgive me. They chose to do interesting work. something that's challenging. They didn't go ahead and just be like, oh, I'm just going to go do cookie cutter stuff and I'll be a character actor, but I'll be in just a bunch of just randomness. He decided to do some very interesting things. He's in Trainwreck as a dog walker, which he didn't have to. He was in Now You See Me Too as a douchebag. He's in Beasts of Burden. He's in a great film from 2019, which we won't be discussing this year because, as I said, this is the ACAST year. A great film called Guns Akimbo, which I will come back to. Guns Akimbo is worth coming back to in general. Daniel Radcliffe is great in it. He's in The Lost City. He's also in the Weird Al Yankovic story. He does a great episode, a great show called Miracle Workers, which allows him to play. The first season of Miracle Workers is fantastic. It's about an angel who's trying to break out of his shell. Um, I sometimes think that because he's a slight gentleman, that he's not given as much credit to be as manly as he can be, and maybe his manliness is something different. He's also been in episodes of Rick and Morty. And if you've done Rick and Morty, that's it. I mean, I'm all the way in. But Daniel Radcliffe is amazing. He really, really um, does all sorts of things that you would go, wow. Um, he is working to be interested in what he's doing. He's not working just to be, an actor who acts, just to be in movie roles. He's not. He hasn't taken the path of what is his name? Oh my god, Nick Cage path, where it's just okay. Well, I'm just making money. He wants to do just interesting work, And in this, he plays a a tabula rasa. The Romans used to talk about, and I know I'm about to go off on another tangent here, but the Romans used to talk about children being born and be uh, tabula rasas, which were um, just an empty slate. All right, and then you imprint upon them whatever you want to imprint upon them. Now, psychologists would tell us that that's not necessarily true. Some of it's nature, some of it's nurture. But in this setting, he is just a blank slate. Uh, he doesn't know anything, and he's being built up by Hank Paul Dano's character. That's it. And to play that, not only to play that convincingly, but to also play that with a charm and a childish innocence and not to over egg it is really subtle, but it's really key to the depth of this film. Paul Dano um, really brings his straight man character, and he is also very believable. He is found the truth in this character, which I love. I think um, I couldn't have asked for this film to be this good at all. It won so many awards. It won the Sundance Film Festival in 2016. It got nominated at Austin Film Critics, Gotham Awards, Independent Spirit Awards, um, the New Chatal International Fantastic Film Festival. It won. Uh, and Toronto Film Festival, it was a runner up. I mean, it was amazing. And what the great part about that is I never heard of it. I have a friend of mine named Jessie. Shout out Jessie G. And she said that she loved this film. She thought it was great, and that she can remember the person who introduced it to her and the place that she was. And she also didn't realize it came from 2016, which is amazing to me. On this journey through 2016, I've started watching a bunch of those movies from that year. Sometimes you don't realize when things came out. Like, when did that happen? That doesn't seem to make sense because I was in a time in my life and I didn't think it was that time. Um, but movie and music are both like that. You cannot actually, in your head, you go, okay, it can't be that old, or it can't be that new, or that can't be the year that it came out. So on this journey throughout 2016, as we try to see if 2016 is the greatest year in movies, um, that's what we're doing here. So, what else did I like about this film? I like the staging. I like how it was very, very Godot-esque. You know, you've got two characters who are alone, and then the chaos um, of two people interacting is then um, thrown completely amiss when you add the extra people at the very end. Um, the sort of synergy that they have. Now, toward the end, before they get rescued, and Manny takes Hank back to the real world, they get attacked by the bear. Now, again, this is an allegory. The bear is actual real life coming back in, and I'm not sure if this is a dream or a fever dream or um, the dying throes of Hank as he goes to kill himself. Um, but when you watch this film, you understand that the bear is life. Life is the bear. And the bear will chew you up sometimes. But if you have the strength and the fortitude to get back to life, then there you are. Now, they say that Manny was a jumper, and nobody knows who he was. So remains a cipher throughout the film. He is whatever Hank imprints about him. Now, this is a bit confusing because I'm not sure if Manny is Hank's real name. I get to the end of the film and it gets very confusing, but it's immaterial. The film is well acted, it's well directed, and really what counts is the two guys, their interaction, and the beauty of said interaction. Um, that's what I loved about this film. I thought it was great. Um, what I didn't care for about this film, bung, uh, not much. So, in lieu of that, I think it's a beautiful film. I think that the film really takes you on a journey. It really makes you feel like uh, the ennui, the human condition, is very well represented in this film. And sometimes um, life is difficult, you know, and there are so many nuances, and there's so many things that um, you don't know, and it's difficult. And I don't know that I have the beauty in my soul to have written this film. You know, um, it's just it's just wonderful. Now, I did mention my friend Jesse, and so in lieu of things that I hate about this film, I'm going to talk about her and her phobia. Now, Jesse said to me as she got so excited, we were at a conference, and she got so excited about the film, and I was like, you know what? I've mentioned this to you over the last couple of years, but I do a movie podcast, and she was like, uh huh. And I said to her, what were you doing on such and such a date? And she was like, not talking to you about Swiss Army Man, which was great. Which, if you knew Jesse, that's the sort of thing she would say, and it was expected. Um, and so we got into a conversation about her having a phobia of being recorded. Now, I've seen, TV and all sorts of things where it's just like, people being scared to be recorded and how many people are watching and that sort of thing. I don't have that, obviously. I don't mind being recorded. I don't have worry about people seeing me. It is what it is. I'm good with me. Um, but I thought, okay, well, let me look up to see if that's a real thing. Now, I think Jesse just doesn't want to do it, which is fine, which is usually why my episodes are by myself and my friends are not on there because, it's hard to find time. They also may not want to watch the movie I want to watch, even though I give them the choice. And anybody out there who may chance across this thing and want to do an episode, please email me, leave a comment in the description, anything, and I'll watch a movie. I'll watch whatever it is. Now, this year, obviously, in 2024, I'll be talking about only movies from 2016, but I'll talk about any of them. And even if I've talked about the movie, like if you want to talk about Swiss Army Man again, or the next movie I do, which will be Deadpool, please reach out. I'll talk to him about it a second time. As a matter of fact, the first two episodes I did called were from the movie Doctor Detroit, a 1986 picture starring Dan Aykroyd and Fran Drescher and James Brown's in it. I did that, and then my second episode, I did it with my sister, and we talked about Doctor Detroit a second time because I love Doctor Detroit. Let's 100% great doctor. Doctor. The doctor's in the house again. I'm still not sure who that movie was made for because it's about a pimp, um, and it's very childish. But me and my sister saw it when we were kids, and we loved that film. And I've seen it like 100 times. It was always on TV. I like a lot of movies from the 1980s. They played it and played it again. And also, you get the rights for Doctor Detroit. It wasn't that expensive. Um, and that's another aside. I'm sorry. I love Doctor Detroit, but I thought I would talk about some phobias that are out there. Anaphobia, according to Wikipedia, is an anxiety disorder defined by the persistent, excessive fear of an object or a situation. Phobias typically result in a rapid onset of fear and usually present for more than 6 months. Now, she said that she had a phobia of being recorded. Now, um, I did not find that to be a phobia. I did not see a list of phobias on that. There was not anything about being recorded. Um, but I thought I'd go over some phobias, starting with the jocular fictional ones. Iophobia is a fear of palindromes, which is a palindrome itself, which I love. Um, it's from a computer humor entered in 1991's Devil's DP Dictionary. Anatophobia is a fictional fear of one being watched by a duck, which I like. The word comes from the name Anatai, which is used in Gary Larson's The Far Side. And if you ever um, watch The Far Side, it's great. Anarachophobia is a fear of anarax. Arachbutophobia is a fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of the mouth. Charlophobia is a fictional fear of any person named Charlotte or Charlie. Mentioned in The Duck is Watching Me, Strange and Unusual Phobias, which I like. Oh my God, I don't even think I can say it. Hippo, hippopotamus, pedophilia phobia is a fear of long words. And I barely got that out. Keanophobia is a fear of Keanu Reeves, portrayed in the Dean Koontz book False Memories, where a woman has an irrational fear of Reeves and has to see a psychiatrist. By the way, sometimes I have a fear of Keanu Reeves' acting ability, which is a definite thing. Sometimes you should fear some of that because that's not great. Outside of a wooden box, his face makes no movements. Although he does make almost uncannily human-like expressions in Bill and Ted films. So, Uncanny Valley, which is Uncanny Valley, speaking of fears, Uncanny Valley is a term used for something that approaches humanity so much. So, you say you get a AI, or like that movie where the woman trapped, the guy's trapped in with a robot and she looks almost human. There's a point called the Uncanny Valley where you start approaching humanity and it's cute and we love it. And then you approach almost exactly human, but not. And we have a revulsion for it. Like it is repulsive. And that's the Uncanny Valley. When you reach that point where it's cute and then you dip to revulsion, because humans don't like things that are almost human. And I think personally, and I haven't done the research because you've listened to this podcast or you're listening to it, and I ain't doing a bunch of research. that you get, it's like dead people. Dead people, when you see a dead person, you know that they were alive. But there's something very revolting about the lifeless husk that is left behind. When the soul leaves, there's just this lifeless thing there that makes you feel really, really weird. So I think that's the uncanny valley. I think that's exactly why we experience that phenomenon. Robophobia is a fear of robots, which I don't know should be classified as fiction anymore because I think there's a lot of fear of robots. Um, Nilophobia is fear of nothing. Semophobia is a fear of average well developers to use semantic web technologies. And Venostrobia is a fear of beautiful women, according to a 1998 humorous article published by BBC News, which I think is great. Um, but there are a lot of phobias out there. And I thought, since Jessie was who she is, I would take this chance to look through some and just look at like what's interesting out there. I love this movie. I have nothing bad to say about it. I thought maybe the farting was a little bit too much, but that's just my own personal taste. Um, but that's just me. Autophobia is a fear of isolation. Bacteriophobia is fear of bacteria. Cacophobia is a fear of ugliness, which I like. And since ugliness is within the eye of the beholder and is very different culturally, what people look like, it's interesting. Also, there's that great episode of Twilight Zone where the girl needs to be changed, and she's got the bandages on her face, and it doesn't take. And when they take off the bandage, she's a beautiful young woman, but in her society, she is hideous and she has to be hidden away. Um, Beauty is definitely in the eye of the beholder, and attraction is too. I think a lot more goes into attraction, just what somebody's face looks. Dendrophobia is the fear of trees. Interesting. Uh, Entomophobia is the fear of insects. I'm trying to look for something interesting. Ooh, erotophobia is a fear of female genitals. Hmm, interesting. Gamophobia is a fear of marriage. Gerontophobia is a fear of getting old. Gerontophobia, fear of growing old as well. Glossophobia is a fear of public speaking. Obviously, I don't have glossophobia, but maybe Jesse thinks she does. But um, halitophobia is a fear of bad breath. I think we all suffer from that one. And, you can look that up. That's just a wiki search that I found. And I found interesting because, like I said, I love the film, and that's it. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. You know the deal. You like, share, and subscribe it. You please leave review a 5-star review on whatever podcast you're listening this to on Apple Podcatchers. That's great. It helps get the word out. It helps people find it. If you're on YouTube, please give me a thumbs up. That'd be great. And with that, that's all I've got. Thank you for listening to Lost Movie Madness with Akeem and friends. You can always email me at lostmoviemadness@gmail.com. Again, that's lostmoviemadness@gmail.com. Leave a kind word, even if you don't like it. Just leave me something. That'd be great. With that, that's all I've got. Go Knowles, as always. And again, people say that I'm crazy, but I'm not that way. In fact, I know what I know, and I'll happily show. Movie madness is all in my mind. Movie madness is all in the mind.